If you really focus on learning from things that don't work and applying the things that do work, you will see tremendous uplift and amazing results.
You're listening to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast, powered by Affiverse, ultimate destination for affiliate program news, insights, growth opportunities, partnerships, and affiliate program strategy. Welcome back to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast with me, your host, Leanne Johnston. And if you've been listening for a while, you'll know that one of the things I care most about is making sure affiliate managers have the knowledge they need to stay ahead, not just to react to things that are changing. And right now, something is changing that I genuinely believe the affiliate industry is not paying enough attention to. Most of us built our partner strategies around search. We know how it works. Partners create content, they rank, consumers click, they convert. Simple, measurable, familiar. But the way people discover products and brands is shifting fast. AI overviews on Google, ChatGPT, Perplexity, generative answer engines that are answering consumer questions without ever sending them to a website. And if your affiliate partners or your brand itself aren't visible in those spaces, you have a problem that no amount of commission optimization is going to fix. So today I've brought in someone who lives and breathes this stuff. Reza Mohandin is the co-founder of Salt Agency, a specialist agency working across SEO, AEO, that's answer engine optimization, and GEO, which is generative engine optimization. He works with enterprise brands on exactly these challenges, and I wanted to get him on the show to help us all understand what affiliate program managers specifically need to know, how this should be reshaping how we think about partner segmentation in our programs, where our budgets should maybe shift or remain, and right now to gain momentum as this space opens up. This is one of those episodes where I'd encourage you to have a notepad and a pen handy. Let's begin. It is a pleasure to have you on the Affiliate Marketing Podcast with me today. Thank you so much for being here. We are getting down and dirty and into everything about AEO, GEO, SEO, the who, the what, the why, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Now, tell my audience, because they probably wouldn't know who you are and what you do, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you landed up running Salt Agency, and what you do day to day, and why they should be listening to you.
This goes back to 25 years ago, pretty much. In the early days of static HTML and then olden days of PHP, Flash, and what used to be the basics. And I used to, when I was a teenager, I used to sell web hosting to people who couldn't buy hosting using my dad's credit card. And from there onwards, I actually got into affiliate marketing and Google AdSense and AdWords back then, and I used to make my money through that. Randomly landed on SEO, had no idea I was doing SEO back then. It was just like, oh, this is working, I'm making money. So I did that. Moved on from that, went on to university, did engineering. My focus was primarily on AI back then, between 2008 to 2011. And from there onwards, I went on to an agency, figured out that it wasn't being done more. It was more of a cowboy SEO works, and I didn't really specifically enjoy it. And I was an engineer there. Moved on to another software engineering company, and then decided that, well, we want to do things properly. We want to actually measure stuff, look at statistics, look at details, look at patents, and actually properly bring it to life for our clients. And that's when we started Salt with the ethos and ideology of focusing purely on technical SEO. As years have gone onwards, then we've expanded our services to the content side as well. So we are by trade tech SEOs, and everybody here is tech SEO as well. In my day-to-day job, I've slightly moved away from the day-to-day hands-on work because the team's bigger than what it used to be, but still we get quite heavily involved in the R&D. We've always had an R&D team behind the scenes. We've got Dan Taylor in the business, who's now head of innovation, and I work very closely with him for the future of what's going to happen to the random words of AEO, SEO, GEO, whatever Scrabble word you want to pick from it. But yes, that's my background, and I do a lot of writing around a variety of things, including AI and data research. I hope that will share something that people will enjoy to hear.
I think you will. Now, we are all chomping at the bit here in performance marketing about getting citations, looking at publishers that can get us into AEO. But before we get into all of that, can you just work us across what is the difference between SEO, AEO, GEO, and break down how each of these three kind of, I'm going to call them disciplines, actually impact performance marketing and affiliates right now? So can you just start us off with the basics? Because a lot of people listening at very different levels in their career. And I really want this episode to be like practical and tactical for them.
Yeah, sure thing. So in my personal opinion, SEO, AEO, and GEO are not necessarily separate disciplines, but there are different ways your content gets surfaced depending on the environment they're at. With SEO, really focusing on the traditional search engine rankings where Google essentially compares results and click. AEO, on the other hand side, really focuses on becoming a direct answer in a feature snippet or voice response or an instant answer, where the goal is to provide clear, structured information that can be extracted without a click. And then GEO focuses on being included in AI-generated responses from platforms like ChatGPT, Google Overviews, where content is not just ranked or selected into a single answer. To put it simply, SEO is mainly about winning the clicks. AEO is about being in the answer, and GEO is about being part of the answer, which really shifts the way user journeys work and how people interact with your content.
It's one of the best explanations that I've heard recently, and understanding that helps you to understand the partner segmentation mix that should be happening in your program right now. Because less than 6 months ago, everybody was saying, forget about SEO affiliates because there's no money there. We now need to get into AEO publishers. But then the research came out about 3 months afterwards going, all the clicks are still happening in Google. So why are you now not spending money with your SEO affiliates to try and get citations in AEO? So it's almost like we've put cart before the horse here and forgotten the basic principles of marketing, which is test, iterate. And obviously for all of these trends that are coming out, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be jumping on the bandwagon if you're in a certain industry, for example. Now, we kind of spoke about this a little bit before we jumped on, but is there certain industries that would benefit from really heading into AEO right now? So certain verticals, for example, travel, finance, e-commerce, whatever it is. And are there certain industries that should still very much heavily focus and maintain their sort of 70-80% ratio of budget being spent with SEO publishers? Is there even any guidelines around this yet? Because it's still so new and people are still testing and looking at what's working and what's not.
It really depends on your marketing strategy. There is one thing for sure, like companies shouldn't forget the full piece of marketing. That's product and pricing and promotion. And that placement side and promotion side really matters. And it is heavily dependent on the user's way of working and how you're trying to promote yourself to the customer. When it comes to AI and whether that's AEO or GEO, we're talking about being in ChatGPT. I wrote an article last year predicting that we're going to get to a point by around June this year to June 2026 where mass adoption rate will come in. And essentially, that's like the hockey stick if you look at it. Generally, you've got your early adopters that roundabout fits in by about 15% onwards. If you hit 15 to 20% on your entire total addressable market, so by that, I mean the whole world who uses internet. If 20% of that is essentially starting to use generative AI, that means you're at a point where there is no way going back. It's going to just keep going higher and higher. And that's based on statistical studies on pretty much everything that happens in the world and in lifestyles. So I believe we are about to be breaking that. And back in September, October last year, we were looking at about 15%, but we're now about to hit 20%. The way the market is shifting, everything will shift, and you should focus on it no matter what industry you're at. It's just how you focus on it and what you're trying to target is a different story.
So you've been tracking some like referral traffic patterns through your own intelligence tools that you have in your agency. From what you're seeing with the clients that you manage, which are quite vast, so you have a really good understanding of what's happening in that space. How significantly has consumer discovery changed in the last, say, 6 months since all of this has come out? Have you seen any big trends?
There's a definite big shift. We are lucky to be working with a lot of tech companies, and often tech companies are early adopters, and we see patterns and patterns of behavior that are shift. So one of the things that we've seen, for example, with some of our tech clients is that the way users are searching for issues and support requests, and they are doing it more and more on generative AI. So the pattern and the shift that how these AI engines are working and serving the user is shifting. So they're not going on Google as much as they used to. There is still a huge chunk, but it's just shifting quite significantly. And because they're early adopters, we can actually see that pattern and behavior quite early on. And they are shifting onto that, and basically they're getting their answers sooner. Essentially what happens there is your customer journey and the old funnel view changes. The funnel view of like discovery here and then move on to the next one and then move on to the next one is almost shifting. In some cases in AI, people are pretty much standing at the bottom of the funnel before they even hit your website. And also the way AI is sort of working is kind of collapsing multiple stages into one single interaction. So discovery, comparison, evaluation, and shortlisting all happening in one place. And then in some cases where ChatGPT is, for example, trialing purchasing on the website, on the app itself, that's just happening. So user interaction is completely changing. So the journey is becoming always on. The user pulls in and then closes. That's it. The whole journey is shifting, and that's how I could simplify it. And to bring it to life for other users, think about it. Imagine as running shoes. Back in the days, you would go and search for running shoes if you didn't know what running shoes were, and then you land on a website, a good website that has got its customer journey right up. It will go, right, I started reading about my running shoes, and then go into and at the bottom of it go, oh, by the way, you might be interested in reading about trail running shoes or track running shoes, etc., etc. Then I'll go into that, and then it was like, there's waterproof running shoes versus breathable running shoes. And then you go down that journey if they've done it properly, and then you'll end up going, oh, I want to buy this. Whereas now all of that's just in one answer, and that's massively shift the behavior and what you can track.
This poses a really interesting question, and I'm so happy that I'm having this conversation with you, because I hate dating podcasts, but today there's a piece that's just going to go out on Afterverse Media about this exact thing. There's been a partnership with Shopnomics and Brambles AI, which builds in-app like chat features for publishers to put into their content sites that then helps the consumer to shop and find the product. Exactly what you've just explained, using AI to actually source the products, and then it also allows publishers to earn revenue. So what you've just said is already happening today. Like, this isn't coming in 6 months' time. It's happening right now because the tech is allowing us to exponentially speed up that process for the consumer. But what does this mean for affiliate program managers? Because now they're going to have to think about how do they segment their budget throughout the partner mix, because the partner mix in an affiliate program has always had to fit the funnel of how a customer searches for a product and finds awareness. So we're sitting on the cusp of a really interesting time in the internet. And you and I have both been around for 2 decades. So we've seen the evolution from before there was even search engines to what it is now. How does that excite you? What do you think that 3 years, and we've totally gone off script here, folks. I'm putting Reza right on the spot, but just because of what you've just said, it's made me think, what is your mind thinking? Because my mind's already going, like, the entire partner segmentation mix has to change to accommodate this new customer behavior. What is your mind thinking in terms of what does the internet look like in 3 years from now?
That's a very interesting subject and topic to talk about. Weeks ago, Google published a patent about how the internet may look like in their own way. And the way they were explaining or showing it in the patent, I don't think we're going to reach that, just to put it into concept, but they were explaining how they could rewrite the internet. Essentially is that you get your results, and then when you click on the answer, they will rewrite your entire web page to what the user may like. So your website no longer even looks like your old website. Everything is rewritten, but then there are legal ramifications and everything that goes with that. So I don't think it will get to that point, the user's website, because then you're like literally changing everything on the behavior, but they will show what they want to see. This could even happen to Netflix. So you might get to a point where you might just open up Netflix. There's one movie and it's the movie that you really want to watch.
That's the movie and then you have to watch. Yeah. That's the other thing is, are we automating the process of shopping so much so that users aren't even making the decisions anymore? Are we just putting the products that we think are best for them? Because I'm an oldie. Like, I don't want Google to tell me what I need to buy. It can show me the options, but I still want to decide. But with the younger generations who've grown up with all of this tech, so you really do need to start thinking about who's your target audience, how do they shop online, and then targeting your content that way.
And that's the key. Anyone who is in any way in the marketing and the sales cycle, they can influence it, in my opinion, they really, really need to know their audience. And it means that they really, really need to know their audience. Figure out what your users got to do at 6 a.m. when they wake up. Like, truly understand the different personas of your users. So let me bring that a little bit more to life for you. Let's assume someone is targeting companies who are builders, and their audience target is builders merchants. They are offering the service, I don't know, a CRM. They shouldn't be just looking at the builders merchants. What they need to do is look at the details of that persona. Is it the merchants they're talking to? Is it the builder who walks into that they're talking to? Is it the decision maker of that merchant? Is it the house owner who's going to work with that builder? So they really need to understand that, and they need to then figure out what satisfies them, what are the questions they look for, where can they influence them, whether that's in the coffee shop at 6 a.m. or if it is through the journey at 12 o'clock midday because they're having a sandwich and listening to radio. And it sounds really silly, but really understanding their movements and behaviors, then how you're going to target them through content. And adding that extra knowledge will allow you to really be specific with your content and domain ecosystem. You need to be super, super relevant.
So it's almost like you said, I mean, and I have believed this for a while, mass marketing isn't going to work anymore. It'll work for branding, but it won't work for sale. So you can't now in your affiliate programs have a one-size-fits-all promo that's speaking to your target ICP, because your target customer, like you've just said, could be at a coffee shop at 6 a.m. in the morning. So then do you want to get onto coffee shop newsletters? Do you want to get really hyper geo-targeted to customers in a certain city and find local retailers to brand with and partner up with and do collaborative content with? I'm kind of getting a little bit scared because it makes my job a lot harder to actually figure out who are the target audiences that I need to be spending my money with that can reach those customers in all of those places, and not just on. It was kind of easy when it was just SEO because there was just one place, one entry point, or there was Facebook, or there was TikTok, or there was Insta, or whatever. There were all of these like definitive entry points. Now there's Perplexity, there's Claude, there's GPT, there's all of these new channels coming in, and it's making it harder to understand where does your customer find you.
The behaviors are shifting. For experienced marketers, they don't really naturally think about it. And you're probably one of them where you look at it and you go, I know what to do. But if you go to the more of the junior side, you've got to like break it down, and you need to understand your 4 Ps on marketing. Like, my background is in the agency. Everyone is tech SEOs, but I've been putting the team through various trainings to say, actually, it's not just about technical SEO anymore. You really need to understand the deep levels of marketing, because that's not going to solve the problem. And yes, the job's a little bit harder, but in some ways, I think it's actually got more satisfying.
It's also getting a little bit interesting again, because I will be honest, having been in the game, and maybe you feel this way as well, and I'm deadly honest with my audience, I have felt a little bit over the last maybe 3 years that I'm not learning anything anymore. Everything's kind of become stagnant. And now, boof, end of last year, we've got, LLMs, AI, it's all getting to a point where it can be useful, tactical. Now it's almost like I've got this third wind coming through, not a second, but a third wind coming through me going, I am now interested again. My head is now back in the game, and I want to see how this is going to play out. And I want to test some things and do some things. And I feel lucky that I've got 20 years of experience looking at this, because 1, I'm not afraid. I've been through iterations of the internet like this before, as have you. 2, I'm excited about what does it look like, but yet nobody knows yet. There's a few thought leaders in our industry that are setting the trends, looking at the best practices, but it is so new that even the government isn't clear on what it needs to kind of ring fence and put together. So if you are a creative marketer, like, you just woke up in a world that became a little bit more exciting.
You've been given new tools that will make you even more creative and give you more of the research. The depth and the breadth of research that you can carry and do is even better, because Claude recently launched co-work, for example, and for very little money, you can actually go and do a lot of heavy research and heavy lifting done up. And it's actually quite exciting. I think it's a whole new side. And as you said, you get bored of doing the same repetitive thing and you're like, what's next? And what's next? And now we've got all these new things to get excited about. And I think it makes you really positive. And if you really focus on learning from things that don't work, and applying the things that do work, you will see tremendous uplift and amazing results, to be honest with you. And we see that with our clients. Not everything's going to work, especially everything is shifting and changing. ChatGPT, for example, if you look at clicks pre-November, the clicks were higher, and then the ChatGPT, the new version came out, and then that shifted it. Google releases a new update. All these updates are shifting quickly and behaviors are changing because they're also exploring what's working and what's not working. They're a commercial entity and they are to find a way to monetize it. And if they can't monetize it, then they're probably going to kill it, like you've seen with Sora and ChatGPT. So they've got to monetize it. If they can't monetize it, they're going to shift it in a way that it will monetize eventually.
If you were a marketer right now, and we're speaking predominantly to affiliate program managers who are dealing with multiple different types of publishers, they're predominantly the people listening to this, and you're sitting there saying, I have no idea to spread my partners, stack them up against all three segments, SEO, GEO, AEO. Where do I start? What's the diagnostic process that you would recommend to people looking at their affiliate programs now going, I don't know what the funnel is, so how do I figure out what partners do I spend my money with and in which channel do I focus first? What would be the diagnostic that you would give to somebody looking at their program now, thinking, where do I begin?
Assuming we're just purely focusing on SEO, AEO, and GEO, I would say get your SEO fundamentals of indexing, crawling, and basic information retrieval practices sorted first. Because if you don't have that, everything else that you produce is completely useless. Think about it like a building, like a house. If the foundations are not right, that crack will reappear. You've got this massive crack in the wall, and then you put plaster on it, and then it cracks, opens up again, and then you put another plaster, and it appears again, and it's worse and worse and worse, and you're like, what's wrong with that? You bring this architect, and he goes, this part of the foundation is wrong. So then you dig it out, you put a new plaster on it, and then it will stay. The foundations needs to be solid before you stick a tape or whatever you want on it. Focus on the foundations, focus on the core technical. Make sure content is accessible, the website can be crawled properly, the basic information or retrieval practices and the core foundations are right. Then you move on to focusing on your content. But the content, really, I can't say focus on AEO or GEO because depending on the engine where the users are going, you could do own changes, such as a schema.org. But generally, basic principles of SEO doesn't change. I think it's understanding and being able to monitor that. And again, you can monitor certain information changes on GEO specifically, for example, and then Google's giving more tooling through Google Search Console, so that's what you can look at. But you haven't got your foundations right, don't put your money on other things. Get that right first.
So the way that I read that, which is very good advice, is focus on your foundation. So make sure your affiliate program is healthy. Look at, are you putting the right promos out? Is it easy for affiliates to find this? Clean up your own house, basically. Know your customers, because if you know where your customer, and this is getting up from your desk and going to have a conversation with the SEO team to actually get this data, and then coming back to your desk and going, right, this is how our customers are finding us. Do I have the right partner segmentation mix in my program to actually match that? Because it's not, as you said, it's not about SEO, AEO, or GEO. It's about where are my customers and do I know who my customers are and where can I find them? Because those partners are the ones that you want to be chasing down right now, irrespective of citation, SEO, PPC, everything else that gets thrown at you. And then it's keep yourself informed. So this is moving at a rapid rate. I mean, you've shared data that has changed in the last 6 months across all of your clients that you're monitoring in terms of how user behavior has changed. It is happening fast, guys. So get your fundamentals right first, and only then start looking to test small incremental things if they are of interest and if you think they are valuable for your business. But other than that, nobody needs to jump onto the bandwagon. We don't need to all take budget out of SEO partners who are working really hard to build great content for you, like the running shoes example that you've given us, and then throw everything at a bus that you don't even know what's happening yet, because we're not at that hockey stick moment of 20% adoption, which means we then have to get on the wagon. We're still in that cusp phase, I think, but we do need to be making ourselves aware of what's coming. Okay, so future state, let's talk a little bit about what's coming before we get on to our famous rapid fire questions. You actually advise some of the world's largest tech firms on AI. So looking ahead from your perspective of the marketplace, working with tech companies, B2B companies, what do you think an ideal affiliate program should look like right now? Should it still be fluid, or should you be doubling down on partnerships that can get clicks and that's it for the time being?
I would keep it fluid at the moment, because if he's just getting clicks, is that converting? That is the one question. And can you really see your lifetime movement of your users, which is becoming harder and harder to see depending on where you are on the planet? If you can implement monitoring tools to understand the user's behaviors, here's a hidden trick for you. If you're like behind on Cloudflare, or you've got access to server logs or whatever that's appearing, you can actually look at what's called the user behaviors GPT user, and you can look at the technical stuff, but you can look at what's pulling your information, which pages are being pulled from your affiliates, and then you can figure out whether those users are being informed on the chat GPT versus your own website, and then try to figure that out. But I would keep it fluid for the moment rather than just purely focusing on clicks.
All right, that's really good advice. So we're getting to the rapid fire part of this podcast where we throw 5 questions at you and you have to answer them and shoot from the hip. No thinking required. So if you're happy with that, we're going to move into that first. So my first question is SEO, AEO, or GEO. If you could focus on only one to dominate, which one?
SEO fundamentals.
Why? Is that just because there's still majority of traffic there and people haven't moved yet, or because you think it's going to outlast and still be the basis of a couple of generations to come?
If you get your SEO fundamentals right, then AEO and GEO will essentially work if you get that right.
Okay. Biggest myth about search that still drives you crazy when you hear it?
Keyword difficulty.
Okay. What does that actually mean?
It's a metric I don't really specifically like. And people talk about like repetition of keywords and difficulty of how hard it is to rank for a keyword. It's not a metric I can properly measure and enjoy looking at. It's as difficult as you make it. And if you are targeting correctly and you're building the right ecosystems, you can rank. And I kid you not, I have got the tiniest businesses. Like when COVID happened, we had a specific customer who was B2B originally, and the B2B market died because restaurants shut down, and they moved on to B2C, and they were like, what do we do? And I'm like, this is what we're going to do. And now they outrank, like they're a small company, they outrank literally for single keywords against ginormous international businesses. And the keyword difficulty is 99 or 100. Doesn't matter.
So I know that to be a fact because I outrank many people on affiliate marketing news. We are the number 1 site in the world for affiliate marketing news, and we are a tiny company. So it can be done. A big one, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google, or Claude. Which one is your favorite and why?
Can I give you 2 answers? Mainly because if you're commercial based, then Claude, because of its connectivity and how he arrives at answers. If you are an end user, which might be affiliates users, ChatGPT, in my opinion, and that's what's going to grow. And that's where I see the user behaviors. I tend to look at 2 sides. I look at my dad and I look at my nephew. He was a teenager. And if I see both of their user behavior changing, that's when I know things are shifting, and they're both on ChatGPT. So that's my basic gauge.
Yeah, it's a good gauge because that's pretty much the predominant audience that all of us are trying to target from that age up to that age. Really good advice there. One tool or data source that everybody should be using that most of them probably aren't. What's like your go-to tool that you use every day to kind of identify, find information, search places, read? Give us a tactical tip of a space we can follow.
I'd really hope everybody who's in affiliate marketing is using Claude, especially Claude Cowork. If you're not using that, go ahead and use it, and then get the MCPs, learn how MCPs work, and connect up to data sets. If you don't want to spend a hell of a ton of money on like Ahrefs or SEMrush, use data for SEO. It's got amazing data sets and it's got local SEO information.
Literally taking notes as you're speaking. Finally, finish this sentence. In 5 years, affiliate managers who thrive will be the ones who
focus on understanding their customer behaviors the best and produce content for it.
Yeah, I love it. Love that. Everything begins and ends with the customer in affiliate marketing and marketing in general. So I think if you focus on your customer audience, you then look to find the partners that can bring you that customer audience. That's 50% of the work done in your affiliate program. Reza, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on this podcast today. You have shared countless numbers of nuggets of wisdom, so we'll be making loads and loads of little snippets from this. Really wish you all the best with what you're doing in your agency as well. It's a very exciting time for both of us, I think, on both sides of the coin, but it's always good to get an SEO on this podcast who knows what's happening so that we can educate everybody in the performance space as well. So thank you so much for being on the podcast with me today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me here as well. It's been a pleasure.
This has been such a valuable conversation, and honestly, it turned out exactly as I hoped it would be. I think the key takeaway that I'm going to be sitting with is that we can no longer afford to evaluate affiliate partners purely on what they deliver through one channel. The discovery landscape has fractured, and our segmentation, our budgets, and our partner conversations need to reflect a new reality before we find ourselves optimizing a strategy that the market has already moved on from. If you want to learn more about AEO, SEO, and GEO for your affiliate program, contact me directly or drop an email to Reza. He and his team are really well experienced at this. And if you think today's episode has made you think differently about how you're building your affiliate program and partner segmentation, I'd love to hear from you. Drop us a message on LinkedIn or leave us a review wherever you listen. If you found this episode useful, please share it with another affiliate manager or program owner who needs to hear this, because trust me, we all do. And until next time, keep building, keep learning, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Affiliate Marketing Podcast.
I'm spending so many hours at my desk and I'm not seeing results. What am I doing wrong? That's one of the smartest questions you can ask. Listen to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast for a start, and go to affyversemedia.com for all the support, optimizations, and inspiration you'll ever need to scale your affiliate program to the stars. What's that website again? affyversemedia.com. affyversemedia.com. affyversemedia.com.